So once more, welcome to Price Action Trading School News Trading lesson. Today we will cover news trading, and I think that news trading is also important for traders who want to grab opportunity to additionally trade a market. But I personally don't trade news that often because I'm mostly focused on intraday setups and on possibly intra-week setups. So, well, on a live trading session starting from 22nd of February, you will also learn how to chart setups, what to watch for, and of course we will have, I hope, trading also executed during session, or if not, then with pending orders. Thank you for all of your comments, guys, and I see comments. Thank you for the setup, euro dollar. Gabriel is saying yes, dollar yen also, it was very good, and uh, I appreciate really. Well, that is what we have when we respect technical analysis. So guys, I was also very surprised by dollar yen today. My analysis came really in a huge profit, but I personally didn't expect that it will drop that heavily after such good news on dollar. So well, again, our setups proved to be very successful, and I'm very happy with it. So if you still are not sure which setup I'm talking about, well, there was the analysis that I did on Forex Street today, and I shared it also on, of course, Admiral Markets Facebook page. And here, guys, I will show you. It is dollar yen bearish tree dry pattern for counter trend trade opportunity here. It came exactly as we planned, rejecting from POC to, well, huge rejection towards this pivot here. So again, bearish tree dry pattern, very strong pattern, and you see it came in a huge profit, almost 80 pips. So that was it. Now let's get back to our webinar. So before we begin, standard risk disclaimer explaining that CFD and Forex trading are leveraged products and can result in losses that exceed your deposits. So those are not suitable for everyone. Please ensure that you fully understand the risk involved. And this video is not part of the .uk website, but the globalnews.com website. Okay. And now we will see the agenda first. So fundamental views, what are key releases, currency focus and news focus, PNT news trading and PNT NFP trading. That is what I will be explaining today, and have in mind that Price Action Trading School draws its concepts from, of course, popular practical naked trading that I developed while I was actively involved in Forex Factory Forum. And yes, I mean, it's a pure price action. You can see that from my setups, trading, and analysis. It's a pure price action. Now, why are fundamental views important for traders? First, let me tell you that fundamental views and releases it gives price a flux that can be easily traded for traders who want to, let's say, who want to be involved more deeper in the markets. I personally know some traders that exclusively trade news. They're not interested in any of this price action trading. They're not interested in analysis. They simply want to trade news. So they only wait for the news. They don't care really about all other things. I mean, guys, it's different dimension than trading. You saw it today. Dollar had a huge boost by a great CPI, by all data that came today. Yesterday's Yellen, she was very hawkish, implying for new rate cuts, and I think that we might see a new rate cut in June. I'm not sure it will happen in March. I'd rather see it in June at this point, but it was very hugely uh, uh, it gave huge strength to dollar pairs. So what happened then? Dollar yen fell. It simply fell from 115 POC zone And that is why I say you need to be aware that if price wants to have a trend, it will have a trend, no matter the news. It will spike as news spike, but then it will get back into its trend trading mode. So that is why I always state it provides spike momentum that can be traded. It's not the same as normal trend and pullback pattern. It's not zigzag. It's just a spike momentum that we can use to trade. But after spike has faded, we will usually see a reversal into the market. So that is why you need to be very careful if you try to go with counter trend trading opportunities or with trend trading opportunities that simply have not a good reason to go long or short. I personally think that spike momentum can be good, but yet again, I simply don't need to trade it today. I trade my setups, I trade my price action, so why would I trade news? I mean, I traded it back in days where I was, well, you know, when you're a very young trader, you want to exploit every single opportunity in the market and you want to actually trade as much as you can. But then over the time you understand that even if you trade every single day, sometimes not having a position equals to being equals to having a profitable position. So it's very important. Now I also need to state that depending on the current state of the economy, the relative importance of these releases may change. So we can always say that NFP is important. But when I started to trade back in 2007, well, guys, ADP was also important. Today, ADP is non-event. I mean, it can give some spike, but it's usually non-event. And I remember the time when I was really trading ADP. It was one of my favorite news releases, and I remember it actually gave us so many trading opportunities during its release. It was just, well, if ADP comes better than expected, short euro dollar. If ADP comes worse than expected, long euro dollar. Today it was not like that. So the relative importance of these releases may change. Back in 2007-8, there was no Chinese news. Simply there was, I personally don't remember that any important forex calendar had Chinese news. I was always governed by Forex Factory calendar, and then I switched also to other calendars. Admiral Markets has also a good calendar on the website, so you can of course check it. But I need to say when I started to trade, and but really often I like to use Forex Factory calendar, although they lack some of important news. That is why I always watch two calendars, Admiral Markets and Forex Factory. But let me say that back in time, we didn't have Chinese news. Today, Chinese news are very important. Cakes and Index also very important. It moves Hang Seng also by huge extent. So it's connected to equities. Chinese news are very, they have a strong impact on during Tokyo session on host of different markets such as yen, Australian dollar, Chinese yuan, of course, their crosses. So well, you know, it's definitely a different time, and those news releases impacts are really different than they were like 10 years ago. The key to trading news is knowing which releases matter and which don't. Some news create shorter, but some create mid-term impact on the markets. Okay? Why? Because massive amount of traders are entering or exiting based on the news release. And that definitely causes a relatively large move immediately following a news release. So definitely it might cause a huge move in the market, and you should be aware of that. That move can be very heavily reflected on the market, and you definitely need to pay attention to it if it happens, and try to trade it exclusively as spike. You don't need to try, and I really advise you not to trade it like well, like positional trade, because guys, you saw today, new spike was good for dollar yen. Positional trade was exactly as I showed you at the beginning. It was counter trend trading opportunity. And honestly, guys, I was really thinking whether I should provide you dollar yen analysis today. I knew it will be very, very risky. I mean, I didn't expect such good numbers, but I knew it would be risky. But then yet again, I thought that you should really take the opportunity to try to trade this three dry price pattern confluence with my Camarilla levels, and you saw it was very good, providing more than 80 pips. So spike trading, okay, positional trading, not after the news. It's a different kind of dimension, guys. News trading is completely different than price action trading. There are dozens of key economic news releases each month. We have interest rate decisions, NFP, FOMC, inflation. We measure inflation by CPI or PPI reports. Then unemployment news, industrial production, business sentiment surveys like German IFO business climate or ZEW sentiment. Then we have consumer confidence surveys, trade balance, manufacturing sector surveys, and from time to time, it doesn't happen very often, but stress tests can also happen. So pay attention. If you see that the calendar states that there will be some stress tests going on, try to stay away from the market. It's not worth risk to reward, and it's really a stress to your nerves, and it can be very stressful to your account, believe me. So you don't really want to be heavily involved into those stress tests. Euro, well, these are some of news that you can trade with spike trading method that I will show you later. Minimum build rate. Well, guys, I state again, this is just for people who want to have a bit of, I say, excitement when trading. I personally don't do it at this point, simply because I'm really patient. I have my own setups. I try to trade with lower risk. So, you know, I mean, it's everything how you will approach to trading. We don't have a general rule considering what type of trader you are. For example, I try to be a bit of maybe conservative in some points. Maybe you are an aggressive trader, so you want to take the opportunity, but I would advise that you simply need to demo trade before you go live. So minimum bid rate decisions, ECB press conference, German sentiment, economic sentiment, German flash manufacturing PMI. And when Mr. Draghi speaks, it's always volatile, and German IFO business climate. So those are some of news that you might try to trade, like spike trading that I will show you. For dollar and GBP, I will show GBP also a little bit later. For dollar, it's of course average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and unemployment rate. Those three news releases came at the same time. Usually it's the first Friday of the month. So whenever non-farm employment change is released, you will see average hourly earnings with unemployment rate. Now the thing is that back in days, this was simply the most important news, non-farm employment change. And I can say that really NFP data release can influence a lot on in Forex market. But guys, don't forget, average hourly earnings are also very important as unemployment rate is. In the economy, economists, we always say that when we see that the country has 5% of unemployment rate, it's considered to be fully employed. So whenever you see results close to 5 and even lower than 5, it means that the economy is fully employed. So US is a exceptionally strong economy, and they have full employment at this point. So slightly, when you see that, for example, this news came slightly worse than expected, but guys, this is still strong numbers. Although the calendar shows red, it's because you always look at prediction and then you watch the actual result. Such as also is Admiral Markets calendar. I will show you that right away. You can find it on Admiral Markets page easily. It's very, very easy to watch for. Just give me a few seconds. When you go to Admiral Markets here, you go to analytics and then to Forex calendar, and here you can see you can filter out the calendar. What I usually do with filter, I just press this. I don't really care about all these news except for 3 dots here. Okay, so when I say apply filter, it will give me the filter for this day. You see, these are the most important events for this day, of course. But guys, as I said, you don't need really to be, these are very strong releases. It's very similar to Forex Factory. What I like to see is I use the logic. So if this number came worse than expected, like it's 4.7 prediction and it came to 4.8, it's still a good number, because as I say, whatever is lower or equal to 0% as unemployment, we think, I personally think, and the economy is, the economics is saying that it's a full employment. So that is what you should also consider if you try to trade and if you try to watch these kind of releases. It's very, very, very accurate. And the biggest thing is that if you try to just watch one of these numbers today, it's not enough. You need to watch all these news reports, not just non-farm employment change, but employment rate and average hourly earnings. It's very important. Also for GBP, the most important news, of course, is MPC official bank rate votes and monetary policy summary. Of course, this is very important, and the report, when it goes live, it tends to have also a good and huge impact on Forex market in the form of spike trading. So spikes will usually be very, very volatile, but then, as I say, as the day goes on, all those spikes will eventually return to normal, and you will see that price action tries to stabilize itself. In Forex Factory calendar and a lot of different calendars, it says that crude oil inventories they have the huge impact on dollar. I personally think that crude oil impacts CAD the most. Okay, so when you see crude oil inventories release, pay attention to CAD. It will have the impact on dollar CAD currency pair. But I personally think that it has really higher impact on CAD currency. So try to focus on, of course, CAD currency pair, and have in mind that the news is and can be very, very strong to equities also. So it will have the impact on GBP yen, dollar yen, those pairs that are connected to yen pairs, and yen pairs are connected to equities, S&P 500X. Of course, watch for that, guys. Crude oil will impact it. For Australian dollar, it's employment change, unemployment rate. For Chinese yuan, it's of course CPI, Kaizen index. For New Zealand, it's official cash rate, RBE, NZ, the rate statement. Not so much news on New Zealand except for official cash rates and few others, but pay attention to, of course, rate statement, because it tends to have a bigger impact than just official cash rate announcement. BOJ outlook report, policy rate, monetary policy statement, very huge impact on yen pairs, on equities, on especially during Tokyo session, Nikkei index, dollar yen, guys, huge impact. So you know it's different. It will have the impact during Asia session, but then when New York and London kick in, well, the things might start to change. We might see the turn of a tide eventually. Other news events, of course, those are other news events that you should cover and watch and try to spike trade if you dare, of course. But of course, before that, you need to demo trade it. And Navin is asking me, if dollar numbers came back worse than expected, does it mean that euro dollar would spike up? And if numbers come back better than expected, would the pair drop? Initially, Navin, yes. So what does what is the impact of news release? Let's say, for example, that the pair is in uptrend. So when you see a good, let's say this is euro dollar, just for example, and it goes up, right? Now, if you see that dollar news, let's say dollar news are good, what can happen is simply a trend continuation, okay? But guys, if dollar news came worse than expected, you will probably see a bigger drop, but then market will probably get back into normal. So that is why we always have the trend that is predetermined by huge players, banks, institutional traders, hedge fund managers. They like to watch those, how can I say, those, well, higher time frames. So if they know that higher time frames are actually bearish and dollar yen is bullish, well, they will use this impact on news spike to trade this, maybe to just release their longs on dollar yen. That will have an impact on dollar yen, creating a U-turn, because every close of a long position is an automatic sell into the market, and that creates a huge volatility, and price might reverse. So that is why it's very important for you to understand the main concept of trading when you see a news release. The primary concept is always follow the trend, okay, and do positional trades as trend. If you want to trade news, forget about positioning. Make a separate account for news and use that account simply for news trading, because you don't want news spike to mess with your positional trades. I have divided the pairs in 4 different groups. The first group is US dollar. The second group is British pound. The third group is euro. The fourth group is Canadian dollar. Sorry guys, this is the first group. Euro, dollar, British pound, euro dollar. Then Canadian dollar is second group. Australian dollar, Japanese yen is, of course, the third group. And the fourth group is New Zealand dollar. First group can be traded during London, New York sessions. So during both of sessions, you can trade dollar, GBP, and euro currencies. I stick to majors. Of course, I might trade pound yen. It's very interesting pair for me to trade, but usually I trade either dollar yen or pound dollar if I trade. Then Australian dollar and Japanese yen are traded during Tokyo session, of course, and Canadian dollar, I might say that you should focus on US session for trading any CAD related news. It's very important to understand this concept, because guys, it's simply for me nonsense to trade dollar CAD during Tokyo session. Why would you do that? So you want to stick to some logic in trading, and that is respect the session, okay? You need to respect different sessions. Not each news can be traded. I always give the advantage to euro, dollar, and GBP. Have in mind that news spike can be fake, okay? That happened to dollar yen today. We had a news spike, guys, and after the analysis, I can see that now dollar yen dropped 100 pips. Check your charts, it dropped 100 pips. So that was a fake news spike, okay, and dollar yen dropped heavily after news. Distinguish tradable and high impact news. It doesn't matter that news will show 3 dots or a red color. We need to distinguish tradable and high impact news. That is very important. You want to focus on specific news. Well, if you want to try to trade spike trading, I advise you to try GBP and for spike trading, so GBP dollar. Focus on GBP crosses, on GBP news, and NFP. Okay, NFP is for dollar yen most of the time. Even though I know that maybe you prefer to trade euro dollar, you might do it with NFP, but dollar yen can be even better to trade than euro dollar on NFP release. For GBP, you can try to trade every single of these news. So claimant count change, MPC asset purchase facility votes, unemployment rate that come with average earnings, services PMI, manufacturing production CPI. All these news spikes are tradable for pound, and usually pound is pretty much straightforward. It tends to jump on good numbers, it tends to drop on bad numbers most of the time. Of course, it will not happen every single time, but well, most of the time it should happen. Okay. Pound dollar simply is correlated to euro dollar, but the spike that is created after GBP news, well, it can be different compared to euro dollar. So if euro dollar goes up, GBP might go down on bad GBP news, but it will also give you the possibility to trade euro GBP, because if euro goes up, GBP down, euro GBP is up. It's much better to trade than other pairs, so focus on GBP dollar and possibly euro GBP. We want to see either a red or green number at Forex Factory or Admiral Markets calendar. Okay, so if you want to trade also, follow calendar. You can filter here easily and you will see different impact if you filter it as I did. Okay. Always do demo news trading prior to going live. So it differs a lot from classic trading, because on news trading we trade solely, we trade spikes. I call it proactive setup, and it was of course part of PNT news trading. Proactive setup means that we can enter 5 minutes after the first candle close in the news release direction. Green long, red short. GBP dollar is traded on 5-minute charts. You can also try to trade, let's say, New Zealand dollar. The logic is same. You can try to trade CAD. The logic is same. Euro, the logic is same. But I prefer GBP. Conservative stop loss goes 5 pips above below the candle prior to setup candle. Aggressive stop loss goes 10 pips above below the setup candle. Targets at Admiral Markets hourly pivot points. So that is why I strongly suggest you that you open the account with Admiral Markets and trade by using MT4 Supreme Edition that has Admiral Markets hourly pivot points integrated. Okay, I will show you that just a couple of minutes later. Depending on your stop loss, try to aim for 1-to-1, guys. Use trailing stop once you're in profit. Remember, once more, this is spike trading. You don't want to hold your trades for more than 10-15 minutes. If you see profit, immediately close your trade. Sometimes trades can last for 10 seconds if the news spike is good. Okay? Yes, it's the other way around. I mean, this is typo. Conservative stop loss is 10 pips. Aggressive stop loss is it doesn't matter. It's just the words. So, okay, this is how it goes. Let's say that construction PMI came better than expected. Okay, with deviation that is higher than prediction. What is predicted? Usually, this is previous month. This is prediction for current news release. This is the actual number. For this occasion, I'm using a Forex Factory calendar. I mean, you know, I've been using a Forex Factory calendar for really a long time, and I always check it with Admiral Markets calendar. But well, you know, I have a knack for Forex Factory as I started to, you know, to post and trade using their calendar. So it's just the matter of my habit. But as I say, you can really use Admiral calendar too. So construction PMI came better than expected. Deviation is the difference between predicted and the actual number. So when you see a green number, it will usually deviate to the upside from predicted number. This is very good number. So we want to trade news spike. Okay, remember, now mark my words, guys, news spike. It means you will scalp the news spike. You don't want to be in positional trade. Why? You see here, guys, this was obviously downtrend here. So generally the trend was to the downside. And let's say that 1 hour and 4 hour are also going down. News spike will give you this single opportunity to go long. So this is the setup candle, 5 minutes after the news, this candle. Okay, this is setup candle. And it happened 5 minutes after the news. 5 minutes after news, as soon as the candle closed, mark the range. This is high, this is low. If the pair immediately goes below, here you simply don't trade this. But if it goes above the setup candle, you trade the news. Okay? You need to use Admiral pivot points. If I will show you also live chart. So if the pivot point is hit, you close your trade. If it cannot reach pivot point, just close it randomly, guys. It's simply a news spike. When spike is finished, you can set up a positional trade. Indeed. So let's say that you have traded this to the long side and you made, let's say, 20 pips. You close your trade. Then when pair goes up, you might actually try positional trade later during the day if the trend is actually bearish for pound. Another example, CPI bad number. You see, this is good when technical analysis and fundamental analysis is aligned. The trend was to the downside. Then we had news. News came worse than expected. What happened? This is setup candle. Okay, spike here, spike there. We don't trade it until this point. Trade should happen in next 30 to 45 minutes. Trade happened here, and what happened? Watch this. The move is even more exaggerated simply because trend was to the downside and numbers came worse than expected. Watch this, guys. I will leave you for a few seconds, and just to see what happened. Well, here you see this is the same setup as before, but I have now I put conservative and aggressive stop loss. Okay, so setup candle, okay, and here conservative stop loss. So this is the rule. I tend to be conservative. Okay, this is conservative, 10 pips above below the setup candle. I want to be conservative simply because if I trade the news, I am very aware that that spike can actually, it can be a bit of whipsaw. It can go up and down and then proceed in spike direction. Watch this, for example. Official bank vote that was a bit bullish for pound. Before that, pound was ranging. It was up and down. And what happened? This is very, very important news, and it can be very strong. It can have a very strong impact on the market. This is, guys, setup candle. Let's say that the news happened. Okay, 10:25. Okay, this is setup candle actually. So 5 minutes after the news here. This was when news release. Let me point this much better. So 5 minutes before the news. This is news. This is 5 minutes after the news. Setup candle. Okay. So high, low. What happened? You see, it came here. We don't trade this. We don't trade this. And then simply here, it spiked to the upside. I use usually, Mario, I use trigger happy. I pull the trigger. A market order. It's usually market order that is what I prefer. So I really tend to go with market orders. So here you see it went above, then it made a drawdown, and then huge spike to the upside. I don't use OCO or other cancel order. I don't use that. So just, well, single finger, as you say. A again, New Zealand, let's say this is New Zealand. We don't have prediction, but let's say that obviously this came better than expected because the price went down, it dropped. Okay, it dropped, guys, it was downtrend. Watch this. Watch what happened. Okay, this was a spike. Okay, this was the range exactly here, and what happened here is bang, upside, fake out, then it came down. But you see, this is what you trade, this move. You don't want to make any positional trades. You simply want to make a spike trade that can be easily closed in profit. For NFP, it's different. It's different template. I mean, the template can be the same. It doesn't matter. You don't use any indicators except for Admiral Markets pivot points that I will show you on live chart. But it's important to state that NFP represents the total number of paid U.S. workers of any business, excluding the following employees: general government employees, private household employees, employees of non-profit organizations that provide assistance to individuals, and farm employees. Okay, this is NFP. Now it's a good opportunity actually to show you that you can actually use, and you should open new account now. There is 5-star spreads, 20% of discount on this account, standard Admiral Markets account, where you can trade equities, metals, very popular account, and you have reduction of 20% to spreads. Why it's important, guys? Please read my blog. I always want to trade with low spreads. This is the blog that I wrote today, so pay attention to it. It's important to understand. I really try to explain the best as I can why it's important to trade with low spreads. Okay, so please use the article and educate yourself. Try to see why it's important to trade with low spreads. And that is important also to our presentation. NFP, simply said, back in time, I couldn't trade dollar yen because dollar yen had big spread. And if you want to trade spike, you need to use low spreads, maximum 2.5 pips. Above 2.5 pips, it's not good. So whenever you see 5, 6, 7 pip spread, you don't trade news. Okay, you want to trade news with as low as possible spread. It's very, very important, guys, to understand the concept. Very important. Advantages of NFP. It's very volatile. It can be profitable, but it also can give you a prevailing trend that we can use for next couple of weeks. Disadvantages, it's volatile. It's both advantage and disadvantage. There are initial whipsaws. Risks are very high. Also, guys, for all of you who never witnessed any NFP report, it can give you some irrational movements. And pairs to trade euro, dollar, pound, but focus is on dollar yen. This is the primary pair to trade on NFP, but well, I can say the second best is euro dollar, then pound dollar. The best is dollar yen. How you trade NFP? Open 1 minute chart. Watch for deviation from forecast, green or red numbers. But guys, as I said today, it's also important to watch for average hourly earnings and unemployment rate. So you actually want to see, both of or let's say all of these results to have red or green color, if I can say it. Because simply, if NFP is bad, average hourly earnings is good, it can make a whipsaw on your chart, up and down, up and down. If all 3 news releases are good, well then this can be very valid. And this is it, guys. Let me show you. All these releases, we want to see, we want to see everything aligned. Red, 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 green, green, green. Otherwise, it can make a whipsaw. You see, non-farm employment change, great result, but this was bad. Really, this was very bad. This is still good, but not as good as prediction. So it can be twofold. Because of that, market can go crazy. You don't want to be caught in some things that you cannot trade. So that is why it's important that when NFP comes out, all 3 reports should be the same, or at least neutral. If NFP is good, average can be neutral, and unemployment rate can be neutral. But we don't want colors to be mixed, like one red, two green, one red. It's much better to have a green on red color on news and two neutral news. So we actually don't want to miss anything. Guys, what I want to see is 70.8 or 88.6 retracement. Okay, so if this was, let's say, NFP that was bad and all other numbers came worse than expected, average hourly earnings, or let's say NFP was bad, average hourly earnings was bad, unemployment was neutral, it was good. It's good for euro and bad for dollar. So you see euro is going up, then it comes to 78.6 or 88.6. This is your entry. So this is how I traded news. I simply, as I say now, I don't trade it now. I traded it back in days. Now I don't use it simply because I don't need to do that. But if you want to try it, this is how I teach you to trade it. You need to open 1 minute chart, wait after NFP. Immediately after NFP data is released, you want to see spike up, spike down, retracement. When retracement starts, draw your Fibonacci, wait for 78 or 88.6, enter the market, put stop loss 10 pips below the low, and try to trade a spike. See here, dollar was good here, non-farm employment change. Okay, what happened? The price went there. It went to 78.6. It didn't touch stop loss. It went to the upside. So it's very easy. Here, guys, this can happen. This can happen. You see, good average hourly earnings, bad NFP, neutral unemployment rate. This was the older news release. And what happened? Euro dollar went up, okay, and it continued to go up. So this was not so important, obviously, for investors. Well, today average hourly earnings have red color. They're not orange anymore. So we would have traded this only if the pair hit this level or this 88.6 and went to the upside. Mario is saying, well, avoid slippage and high spread. You will not see usually high spread after NFP. It might be just when news release, spreads can be widened, but on other markets platform, what I saw is that spreads are not widened when news are released. So that is why you can actually wait on 1 minute for retracement to form. When retracement forms, you wait for setup. You wait for either 78 or 88.6 if it happens. If it doesn't happen, you don't trade it. On live chart, let me show you. Let me just give me a few seconds to open up my chart. Okay, I will use this as an example, guys, just as an example. For example, dollar CAD pair. Let's say that CAD news came better than expected. CAD news. 1 hour is obviously we have a downtrend on dollar CAD, but news came, well, news for dollar, let's say, came better than expected, or we can say that news for CAD came worse than expected. Let's say that this was setup candle. Let's say, just for example, this was setup candle. This was your entry, and you see the price went down. It didn't hit R1, but it went down. So when this happens, guys, this is a good opportunity to show you. Just for example, don't watch the chart now like it happened. It's just for an example. You know the trend is to the downside, okay? But news for dollar came better than expected. So what would happen is you would probably lost your trade here because it only went 3 pips. It didn't even touch R1. That is why you use lower risk. let's say that your maximum risk is 2%. You can place 0.5% on a single spike, and if the price spikes down, place another 0.5. That way you can say that this was fake out. Okay, so after a fake out, there was a real move that gave you something like 8 to 9 pips, and you can close your trade in profit. So here you would lose, let's say, you would have not lost much. I mean, it would be only 0.5%, but here you would actually get like 1% of your trade. For example, dollar yen. Just for example, guys, let's say this was setup candle here. Okay, this was news. Let's say this was setup candle here. And this was R2. Let's say this was, because this is hourly pivot points, you need to have MT4 Supreme Edition. And here you have hourly pivot points, Admiral Pivot, drop it to chart. And when this shows up, you just press H1 for time frame for pivot points, H1. Like this. Okay, you have hourly pivot points. They will change each hour, okay? So here, new spike, it hit R2, 40 points possible. You see, it was a new spike. And dollar news came much better than expected. That is how you trade, guys. That is how you trade dollar news. Let's say euro dollar, we will use 1 minute chart, and let's say that you want to trade NFP. So let's say this was NFP spike, for example. So this was NFP spike. Okay, you just place your retracement. Spike goes down. So we had, let's say that the news was good for dollar, and euro dollar starts to go down. So here, start of NFP, end of retracement. It started to retrace, and it hit 78.6. So here you open your trade and just watch. You can take profits here, or you can scale out and wait for next hourly pivot point. So that is how you might consider trading news. As I say, for me, it's I don't use it now, but if you want to trade it, you can demo trade it, open a separate account, and try to see how it goes. If you have any questions, guys, feel free to ask me. Next Wednesday, we will have live trading sessions where I will be analyzing pairs, when we will try to catch up something like master candle breakouts, price action, pending orders, or eventually market order if it happens. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If not, then we can conclude the webinar. I wish you a great rest of trading week, and I hope that we will get great setups as we had today on dollar yen. And tomorrow, I think Forex Street will announce winners on their votes, so stay tuned. Let's see if we got any votes. And again, guys, I wish you a great week ahead, and I will talk to you soon. I don't see any questions or comments, so I might say that everything is clear. Okay, thank you again for listening to me. Bernard is saying thank you. I hope that you win big. Thanks, Bernard. I hope too. Let's say I've been nominated in 3 categories with Admiral Markets, best sell side contributor, best video podcast. That was the category that I really would like to see something out of it, and of course best speaker. So let's see what will happen tomorrow. Thank you, guys. And the last question. Yes, we have time for the last question now. If there is news on GBP, will the pair like Australian dollar, euro dollar also get affected? Correlation. Watch the correlation. Usually they are not affected much. Usually what can happen, euro dollar or Australian dollar might be slightly affected, but then they will get back into their predetermined trend. So don't worry about it. Thank you guys for listening. Wish you a great week and talk to you soon. Cheers. And as I always say, trade safe.